What's the most disturbing thing you've found in someone else's home? A basement full of dioramas made from taxidermied squirrels dressed up as people doing people things, like mowing the lawn. Two real human skulls. They were sitting on a shelf facing each other. Since they looked so real, crooked teeth and all, I asked him if they were real, and he said yep. I still don't know what to make of it. He was a plumber in the small city I lived in at that time, still in business. Cleaning out my brother's apartment after his death. He saved gallons of his own piss. Like 15 plus gallons. We were putting a multi-channel home theater surround sound system in this guy's master bedroom. We walked in to start working, and there was a pleasure swing hanging from the ceiling in there. The homeowner came home while we were working, and he was visibly horrified and embarrassed, and while we continued working, he tried to nonchalantly take it down. It was my home, actually. About a year after we moved into our house, we realized that the former owners had reversed the lock on all of the bedroom doors. If you don't understand, they did this so that they could lock their children in their bedrooms. A carpeted bathroom. Like fully carpeted, even directly around the toilet. They had sons too. Wasn't a home, but I found a prosthetic leg under a bed in a hotel in Myrtle Beach. How does that even happen? At some point the dude who lost it had to wonder why he was hopping. I found a bunch of old teeth in jars at my uncle's place once. Never asked about it, and left fast. A pond in the middle of a living room, and I mean a whole ecosystem complete with fish of all kinds, frogs, turtles, plants, rocks, and God know what else. Bathroom made of all mirrors. All walls, cabinets, and even the door. It was extremely disorienting. Why be so enthusiastic to watch yourself pee over and over again through infinity? One time when I was about 14, my friend had hippie parents, and they always had pot. 3 or 4 of my friends and I were searching their room for their stash, and I opened a drawer that had a shitload of dildos in it and Polaroids of his parents fucking each other and others in group sex parties. These people all looked like leather couches, by the way. Super ass disturbing. Shackles and chains in 2 small rooms in a basement of my friend's father's house built over 100 years ago. They were for slaves. This random dude neighbor we had in college that our weird roommate dated, he had a whole whack of authentic WW2 Nazi memorabilia. Medals. A pistol. Then he also had a full-size, like 3 by 5 foot, painting of himself in full Nazi garb with a Hitler mustache. I had this one supervisor who was a little off mentally. We went to his apartment before opening the restaurant for something weed, and I got a peek at his bedroom. All the walls were painted a deep red and adorned, almost covered, in pages from the Holy Bible. WTF? Definitely made me paranoid on the way back, lol. My wife and I were invited to dinner at one of her coworkers. They just moved into a new apartment and wanted to show it off. They insisted we see their bedroom and the sex swing hardware they had just installed in the ceiling, and their elaborate leather and sex toy collection on display. We're not into that. They weren't very good cooks either. An old, used metal speculum. Device used during vaginal exam, no. He was not a doctor at all. I cut date short and left tire marks in his driveway. Full-on Nazi shrine. Giant swastika flag surrounding an altar with all kinds of medals and framed photos and shit. Life-size Hitler statue. Less like a museum than a death cult temple. It was my neighbor kid friend grandparents' house in Idaho. I panicked that they would see through my disguise and feigned sudden illness, so well I puked all over their house. I was sent home, back to my happy multicultural neighborhood. We weren't friends after that. I found a modified dog in a freezer I used to empty out foreclosed tones and clean up crime scenes. Not disturbing per se, but very shocking. Stayed at a recent acquaintance house for a weekend. Super nice guy, great family, put me and my buddy up for the weekend, and we all went to a con together. I came out of my room and the door to their room was open. I glance in there as one does, and there is a camera on a tripod pointed right at the bed. Now, I'm not yucking, but let's save that reveal till we at least get to know each other. Probably one of best friend's drug-addicted wife in my medicine cabinet during my daughter's graduation celebration. My in-laws' place. Was doing a little rearranging of furniture and helping out a mile. Underneath one of the guest beds was a huge rubber dildo. Turned out it belonged to another couple who used to visit, and they left the dildo there as a joke. Creepy. A gun under the pillow of a guy I was seeing. A warning would be nice before laying down. A dedicated bed for the children. All children in that house. 6, 12, 14, and 16 years old. There's a room in my basement that disturbs me greatly. We call it the murder room. Man shrugging, medium skin tone. Landlord stories of the sordid sort. 1. I walked into a tenant's kitchen to chat. Super clean and organized house. Everything in its place. There was a vibrator sitting right in the middle of the kitchen table. We both pretended it wasn't there. 2. I went into a tenant's house after they, man in his 30s, had been arrested for a sexual offense. There was an enema bag hanging in their bathroom. Who knows what was going on in that house? Yucko blucko.